Hey everyone, Kevin here with SkylabFlightSystems.com. Today I'm going to answer a request I had received regarding the Autel Robotics X-Star 3 Premium. What you can see in the video right now is the X-Star Premium radio, and I just want to go over a couple little things with you guys and show some things that are pretty neat, some attention to detail that's pretty cool, and just give you an idea of what the radio is like. So this is exactly how it comes basically out of the box, although it is sitting more like this in the case. So when you take it out, the antennas fold and rotate like so. And you can then tilt them up. When you're flying away from you, they suggest this as the configuration for the best reception. Then you have your media holder right here. So that folds up, and then the really cool thing is that it spins. Now it's very firm. You can see, again, that it spins. I apologize, I was a little bit out of frame there. It's very firm, and then this is actually spring loaded. So once you have your tablet or whatever, and I'll just use a Google Nexus as an example, it clamps down on its own. The inside of the clamp is padded with a rubber padding that's very soft, so it's going to protect your tablet or mobile device, whatever it is you choose to use. You can tilt it wherever you want. I would like to see a sunshade made for this. That would be really cool. As everybody knows that's been out flying in the sun, glare is pretty crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off and let it snap back into place. So I'm going to turn it on, and it's really cool. When you turn this on, when you push the power button, it shows that it's powering up. Now, as you can see, it's telling me to connect the aircraft, and what that means is just turn on your X-Star. I have my X-Star sitting over here, so I'm gonna take the gimbal lock off, and I'm gonna power it up just so you can see what the LCD looks like. Sorry for the shrill startup from the X-Star. So I'm going to tilt it up a little bit, and I'm going to bring it just a little closer. And you can see it's got basically almost all of your telemetry on there. You've got your signal, the direction the aircraft is facing. Then when you have magnetic interference, it's going to tell you that. It's going to tell you how many satellites you have. And then the other is the signal strength for your video. It gives you instructions on what to do. When you're flying, it gives you distance away from you, so it's very handy, and you can definitely use it without putting a mobile device on if you are just going out for a fun fly and you really don't care what you're capturing on video. That's really cool feature. It's not something that's on any of the other aircraft currently available. So let's go ahead and talk about these buttons. The far left right here is, as you can see, it comes with a sticker telling you what each is. I have not pulled it off. I don't really feel like taking it off. I think it's actually good to have there. You've got this button that will start the motors, which is really cool. You hold it down, the motors fire up, and you're good to go. You can also use stick movements down and in, or down and out, which is the old school method. You have a auto takeoff and land button. Something to remember when you're flying: when you hit this button to land, it lands wherever it is. So this is not a return to home button. It's a land and takeoff button. Power button, of course. You hold this button and it will start to come home. You can interrupt it if you do, to manipulate or whatever. I would suggest making sure that you have your return to home elevation set higher than the highest obstacle near where you're flying. And then you have a pause button. Now, that pause button stops everything. If you're flying waypoints, if you're doing an orbit, you feel like you're out of control or you lose your orientation, you hit that pause button and the aircraft stops where it's at. Now, somebody said, doesn't it do that when you take your hands off the sticks? That's correct, it does do that, but only in GPS mode. This does it in all the other modes. So it's a nice little safety feature. It's kind of a panic button, I say, and it's a cool feature. Also, you've got your gimbals here. Now, there's no way to adjust these really that I've noticed, but they feel really good. They're firm, and they move really well. I really like, and I'm not sure if you can see, each stick on the ring around it basically has an arrow telling you what it does, and that's a really cool feature. You know, on the right hand, you know, forward is forward, back is back, left is left, right is right, unless you're in intelligent orientation mode, which I think most everybody knows that means that no matter which way the front of the aircraft is, left is left, right is right, etc. Another thing is the rubber coating, the rubber inserts that are on this has a texture to it. So on a hot day, if you're sweating, it's not going to slip. It feels really comfortable. That's a really neat feature. It is on both sides. So then, you know, on the top of the aircraft, you have a play button on the right hand side, and also on the right hand side is you can change your camera, a couple camera settings with that. On the left hand side, you have your flight mode switch, and then you have your gimbal control. On the back side, let's just lay this down a little bit, make sure that the light's hitting it because it is black. On the right hand side, right at your fingertip, right at the top of the grip, is your button for taking a picture. On the left hand side is a record button for video. Hitting those buttons will stop and start the video or take photos. Then you have you've got your USB out to your mobile device, which then connects your video feed. And then these two are expansions for further, for future product offerings, I guess. That's how they describe it in the manual. On the underside is where you charge your battery. Let me just close these antennas. So, there we go. So it's a nice little dust flap that's on there. It is very firm, as you can see. Open it up and you can charge your battery. When you're done charging, before you go out to fly, so it doesn't collect any dust, make sure it's firmly in place. It doesn't feel like it's going to break off. The connection to the aircraft is it's pretty big, so it's not going to just break away after several times of charging your radio up. So that's the radio for the X-Star Premium. It's really nice. It just feels comfortable in your hands. It's a little bit lighter than my P3. There's an LCD protector already installed. There's a tab if you want to pull it off. I've decided not to do that, just because I want to keep that thing as scratch-free as possible. That's about it. If you guys have any other questions, though, please let me know. In the meantime, I'm also going to go ahead and switch over to a video that I recorded of the app, which is the newest version. It's a little bit different than what I showed you the first time. So have a look at that, and I explain that as we go. Thanks for watching. So this is the newest app from Autel Robotics for the X-Star line. And as you can see there, it's telling me that there's a new firmware available, and I've been told that this is going to include no fly zones. For the time being, I am not going to update that right now. What I am going to do is I'm going to hit this start button, the blue start button, and I'm going to kind of go through the menu and show you some things because it's a little bit different from the last time I loaded it up. Okay, so I've got my X-Star in the shop. It's actually raining, excuse me, outside. So a few things are different. The menus are a little bit different. So over here on the left-hand side where you see the word fly, that is your autopilot modes. And what that brings up is it's an easy way to access orbit, follow, and waypoints. So that's really cool. They've simplified that and they've made it a lot easier than some of the other drones available. Let's go back. I'm going to close this. You've got takeoff and landing just under that. You've got return to home, which is a land, and then you can actually set your home point if you don't like the place where it was. So you can reset the home point during flight, which is really, really cool. You know, you've got general settings here, which is where they were the last time. I'll just close that and go back. So the general settings is right next to the map in the lower left-hand corner on the left-hand side of where it says compass abnormality. So let's open that. And it brings up the aircraft first, where you can calibrate your compass. You can select beginner mode, set your altitude limit, your distance limits. Then there are advanced settings, and this is where you enable the ADI mode. By the way, it does not come enabled first time install, so you will have to enable that. Pardon me. This is also where you access the flight data recorder, and you can turn your front LED lights on and off. I really, really, really like that. So we're going to go back, and I'm going to scroll back up, and I'll just show you what it looks like on the compass calibration. I'm not going to actually perform it because it's pretty much the same as everywhere else. You've seen it, so that's what the menu looks like. You go to the radio next. This is where you can control how fast your gimbal tilts. You can adjust that to your particular needs or however you're comfortable. You can rebind your radio if you ever happen to have to do that. You shouldn't. Command stick mode. Let's you know, that's basically modes 1, 2, or 3. You select what works for you. I stay in mode 2. Another thing that's new is the teaching mode, and that's really cool. So you can actually connect to another person's X-Star, and you can act as an instructor, and then you would in turn set them up as the person being instructed, which they call learner. That's a really nice feature. I think it's going to be really helpful for like father-sons, you know, father-daughters, mother-sons, whatever, friends, where you're teaching somebody new how to fly. It's really, really cool. That kind of goes hand in hand with the beginner mode. I really like that option. So we're going to go to the next menu. These are your video link settings, and this is basically telling you where your connection is and what kind of noise levels you're experiencing. The next menu is the aircraft itself. This is where you set your low voltage warnings. These that you're seeing right now are stock. It tells you. You can set the low battery warning to 25% as the lowest setting. I actually need to change that to 30. I feel more comfortable with that. and critical I set at 20, and I'm going to keep that there. The next menu is your camera, and basically that allows you to set up your gimbal mode, whether it's FPV or stabilized. I always leave mine in stabilized. FPV mode is great for when you're just going to go out and do some sport flying and you want to record that. The next menu, this is where you change your units. You can turn your tutorial on and off. And that tutorial means what it does is it gives you a quick overview of what the buttons do when you open the app up for the first time. Or it actually does it every time you open it up. Then you've got options for your map, which is pretty cool. You can now apparently do live streaming with YouTube. That's a new feature. You also, I like that you've got the firmware version. It's really cool because it tells you the firmware for every component on here, from the camera to the flight controller, all the way down to ESCs. That's pretty cool. Nobody else does that I'm aware of. I mean, I guess I could go back into the Go app and see if they offer. I know they tell you what the app and what the flight controller firmware is, but I don't know if they go into as great detail. That's pretty cool. So that's the general settings menu. I'm going to close that. Over on the far right hand side, you have your camera set up, and you can select the video recorder to record on the tablet, or you can use the button on the radio. The same with taking a photo. At the very bottom on that right hand side, there's a camera with a wrench in the center. Those your camera settings or tools, and that's where you go in. You've got the camera, the video camera, and then I think general settings. You can change your camera photo mode, as you can see, to burst, AEB, time lapse, and each one of those have options. You can change your aspect ratio from 16:9 to 4:3 if you would like. The format, you can go to RAW, JPEG, and RAW, or just JPEG. It's pretty standard. Style is like a color style, okay, and there are 3 preset options in here, but you can on the custom change all of those settings to suit your needs or your preferences. Most of the stuff that I've filmed has either been in soft or landscape. You then have white balance, and you can set it on auto, and then you've got 4 presets. That's pretty cool. And then another color option. This is like filters. This is like a built-in filter, where you change the actual colors, and it's pretty cool. I leave it on vivid because it makes everything really bright, but I love all the different options there. For the video camera, you've got your resolution, and there are all your different settings. I usually film at 1080, either 30 or 60, depending. Although I will be providing some 4K plus video once I have something that can process it. So we'll go back. Your standard, you could NTSC or PAL. Here in the U.S., most of us use NTSC. And then you have format. Also, you can go with movie or MP4. That's a nice little option. Again, style, white balance, and then color. And then if we pick the settings wheel, this is where you get, you can put a histogram up. You can have an overexposure warning, subtitles. The anti-flicker is about the camera. I haven't made any changes to that. I leave it on auto. You can also turn the grid on and off. It also allows you to select the kind of grid. I like having the grid lines when I'm doing photos because it helps me keep everything centered. And then file index mode. You can actually reset the way it names the files. So you can start back at 0 whenever you want. This is also where you would format your SD card. So that's the camera settings or camera tools. So if we go up, you have some settings. We'll press on that, and this is where you can change your ISO, your shutter, and you can do it. You can have it set to auto, or you can set it manually to for your own liking. That's pretty neat. You also, if you press the camera gimbal, it shows you what degree you're at, and you can, from the tablet, if you so choose, control the tilt of your gimbal using the app rather than the button. I prefer to use the button, but it is what it is. It's a preference thing again. If we press standby, actually that's not going to do anything. So those are the basic settings for this app. If I go back out, you'll see down on the very bottom there's a media button, a store button, and a me button. It's very similar to what somebody else has done. So you'll be able to access your media right away. I can't do that right now. I'm pressing those, and that is the X-Star Starlink app. I hope this is a little bit more helpful than the last one. Some people said I went a little too fast, and I apologize for that. I just wanted to give you a quick look at it because I knew it was going to change. So this is the Starlink app. I thank everybody for watching, and stay tuned for some more stuff. And remember, fly safe.